Hey, brother, if you're here right now, there's a good chance that someone or something ripped your heart wide open. Maybe they lied. Maybe they betrayed you. Maybe they abandoned you or cheated on you. Maybe they were in the arms of another person. Or maybe they just made you feel like you were never enough. Maybe you're feeling all those things. Or maybe you don't even know what you're feeling right now. And this meditation is for the version of you that feels like it needs to hold it all together and stay strong while the world around you is on fire and falling apart. My name is Ed Hegan. I'm a former New York City firefighter and a mindfulness meditation and breathwork coach. And I help people to deal with stress and find inner peace by understanding their emotions and learning to regulate their nervous system. And heartbreak, betrayal, abandonment, they all hit really differently when you're supposed to be the strong one, when you're the protector, when you're supposed to be the one that never breaks. When the truth is, real strength is allowing yourself to fully feel your emotions. And feeling these feelings and processing what you're going through will help you heal and let go of what no longer belongs to you so you can move on in a healthy way. It's really important that when we're in this fragile and vulnerable state, that we offer ourselves kindness and compassion and love. And one way that we can do that maybe we've never been taught, is we can start to regulate our nervous system by using our breath. So let's start this meditation by taking a few long, slow, deep breaths through the nose into the belly. And what we want to do is move our belly button away from the spine and make ourselves a little Buddha belly. And then we're going to take another sip of air in to fill the rest of the lungs. And then we'll slowly exhale. You can also just listen to the sound of my voice and breathe deeply. You don't have to follow the instructions. You can just listen. Because the intention behind what I'm trying to communicate to you is really the power here. So, exhale all the air out of your lungs. Breathe deeply in through the nose and fill your belly. Fill your chest. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blow it out like smoke. Blow out a little more. Good. Slowly inhale through the nose. Fill the belly. Fill the chest. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly release. Inhale slowly through the nose. Fill your belly. Fill your chest. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly release. And you don't have to continue to breathe like that. Just breathe slowly and deeply, please. Connecting to our bodies by connecting to our breath, by connecting to each other, by connecting to the present, will simply calm down and regulate our nervous system. When we are calm and relaxed and grounded, we can give ourselves permission to explore the feelings, the very feelings that we're trying to avoid. I know right now it feels like maybe you're going to have a panic attack, or you're shaking with adrenaline and cortisol and anxiety, because it can feel as if your very life is in danger. You may be in an acute state of fight or flight, and you may not really know what to do. And so I'm just going to guide you through the process of understanding what you're feeling, why you're feeling this pain, why it's real, and how you can understand it, process it, express it, and release it, while also integrating the lessons into your life so that in the future we can have healthier connections, set healthier boundaries, and become a healthier and stronger version of ourselves, including having the resilience to face the tough stuff in our lives. And some of the key points I want to go over is that you're not just grieving this loss of a person, you're also grieving the man that you were when you were with her. You're grieving the future of all the things that you guys could have been. And this betrayal cuts really deep because your loyalty ran really deep. And this abandonment wound is a wound that echoes from our childhood. It affects our nervous system in a very, very deep and primal way, because it resembles this feeling that we had when we were abandoned as children, when we were neglected, when we were overlooked. And so you may feel rage, shame, confusion, and that's all normal. So suppressing those things does not make it go away, but it buries it deeper. So be careful if you find yourself trying to avoid it by numbing and distracting. Be careful of addictions or things that you use to soothe, because sometimes we need to really feel it to heal it. And sometimes we wear masks to try to avoid feeling that pain and that heartbreak, because vulnerability feels dangerous. It feels weak. It feels less than. But brother, trust me when I tell you, it's not. You're okay, and you're going to be okay. I know it doesn't feel that way right now, but this is temporary. This is a storm. And I know that these storm clouds are heavy, and the lightning and the thunder feels overwhelming. And maybe it's pouring so hard right now, you feel like it's never going to let up, but there is a blue sky behind that storm. And if we can learn to weather this storm and learn the greatest skills of navigating our heart and soul, we can become better when the seas of life get stormy, which they often do. A lot of the times the masks that we wear are to cover up those vulnerabilities and what we perceive as weakness, but a lot of us were never really taught how to express our emotions or identify our emotions or process them in a healthy way. So we don't really even know what we're feeling sometimes. So we wear this mask to try to be tough and say, well, I'm fine, I'm good. Maybe we also try to replace her, or we seek a distraction or a temporary pleasure in like turning towards someone else to avoid feeling our feelings. Maybe you like to overwork, keep yourself busy, make money, run around, do the things, all just to avoid the stillness of sitting with these uncomfortable emotions. Maybe you find yourself withdrawing from friends or isolating yourself because you feel ashamed, because you feel weak. You feel like you are this little boy that is wounded and you don't want to reveal that soft white underbelly, that tender part of you. And while you're in pain and this edge feels really raw, it's typical that we want to numb to ease the ache of our heart and our bodies. That's really natural and normal that we want to do those things, but if we repress and suppress those things, they will manifest themselves in really unhealthy ways, in the way that we treat ourselves, in the ways that we treat others. And we might find ourselves leaning toward addiction or unhealthy habits to try to escape the pain. But none of this really solves the problem. It just covers it up temporarily and can create really unhealthy patterns that can cause destruction and even destroy us completely. So I'm asking if it's possible for you to consider facing this wound honestly and considering sitting with the pain and facing this heartbreak And I know that none of us have ever been taught these things. I was never taught these things. When I was hurting as a child, I was told, well, I'll give you something to cry about. I was threatened with violence. I was made to feel less than and weak. I was called names, made fun of, or teased for being weak if I cried or expressed sadness. So I've had to learn how to understand and process my emotions as an adult. And I imagine if you weren't taught how to do this, then this is new for you as well. And as someone that's going to be 50 in a few months, being a 50-year-old man and learning to connect with my inner child and heal the parts of myself that feel abandoned and neglected has been a process. I'm still going through it now. I am not some guru that has anything figured out. I am simply sharing my vulnerability and my process so that you have permission to go on your own healing journey. Because if repressing it and suppressing it and denying it and ignoring it or numbing and distracting it isn't working, and it isn't working. So that's why you're here. And instead of running from the pain, can we sit with it? And I want you to ask yourself this question. What am I afraid of if I truly feel this heartbreak? Because you're already feeling heartbreak. If you need to, let the tears come. Clench your fists. Push the floor. Do some pull-ups. Shake it out. Move your body. Let yourself just rage. If you need to scream into a pillow, be careful. Protect your voice. Keep it kind of mild. If you need to just flex your muscles and just feel the intensity and allow it to course through your system. This is a way of you discovering the power within yourself to heal this, because the answer is not outside yourself, brother. The answer does not lie in another person. I don't have the answers. They don't lie in another person or a substance, or it's only within you. It's only within you. These feelings are not outside of you. And so when we make the mistake of looking outside of ourselves for relief, we can get lost. And I know that you can feel broken right now, but trust me, you are not broken. You are breaking open and you're releasing old wounds. And I want to tell you the story about the second arrow. I'm going to butcher this story a bit, but bear with me. It's an old Zen story about a warrior who was just minding his business, tending to the garden. And he gets shot with an arrow out of nowhere, and it goes through his shoulder. And it's tremendously painful. So that's the first arrow. Now you would think, if you have an arrow through your shoulder, what's the first thing you could do? Well, you could focus on the wound, the part that's hurting, remove the arrow, heal the wound, patch it up, clean it, get the rest and the nourishment that you need to heal the wound. But oftentimes in life, if we get struck with a metaphorical arrow, instead of focusing on the wound, we oftentimes will allow a second arrow to hit us. And that second arrow is, why did they shoot me? What did I do to deserve this? Am I a terrible person? Why did this happen to me? Am I not liked? Am I unlovable? People want to kill me. This whole idea of this second arrow is the pain and suffering that we place on ourselves that just exacerbate the existing wound by fighting against it and struggling with it, or trying to change the reality of what happened. So instead of focusing on, why did this happen to me? Why am I unloved? What's wrong with me? I'm broken. You are not broken. Let me say this clearly. You are whole and complete, just as you are. You always have been, and you always will be. So understand that, internalize that. You are whole and complete as you are. You always have been, and you always will be. Yes, her love made you feel more alive. Yes, the way that they took care of you made you feel like you mattered. And yes, it hurts. But sometimes this wound that we're feeling right now is the boy inside of us that was abandoned, that was overlooked, that was neglected, that simply wanted to be seen and heard and understood and tended to and felt like they mattered. And now it feels like none of those things exist. Well, speaking to that boy inside of you, I just want to simply say, you didn't deserve to be left. You didn't do anything wrong. And it wasn't your fault that the people that cared for you when you were young weren't able to show up for you and care for you and protect you and keep you safe. And although it's not a problem that you created, it is your responsibility to fix it. So we want to reclaim this loyalty to ourselves. Instead of focusing on why we were shot with that arrow, let's focus on what we can do to repair it, how we can become responsible by being loyal to ourselves. Because if we give away that power, someone else can always leave us again. Someone else can always betray us again. Someone else can hurt us. But if we decide that we want to be loyal to ourselves by focusing our energy not on why someone did something to us or why we're broken or why we're unlovable, but instead if we can just focus on loving ourselves and reclaiming our loyalty to ourselves, we can hold space for that boy inside of us that needs to heal that wound at a core, fundamental root level. So, if you want, you can consider what it would be like to journal this or record a voice note, just expressing how you feel, and you can release some of it. And the breathing that we did, it's really just a great way to stay connected to your body. So if I could offer you one tool throughout the day or throughout this process, I would simply say every time you feel stressed and overwhelmed, simply remember to take a deep breath into the belly. And that's simply a way to connect with yourself and give yourself that gift of being kind to yourself and embody this feeling and release it. And to let go of this need to have closure, because there's a very good chance that this person will never be able to give you closure. So it may be required that you give closure to yourself. And rebuilding the trust is an opportunity for you to rebuild trust with yourself by rebuilding inner peace. When you create peace in your heart, you rebuild and regain that trust with yourself. This is an opportunity to create a whole new relationship with yourself that you've never had before, so you can show up for yourself and have that inner strength and resilience and fortitude anytime you come across challenging situations in your life. Creating a sacred time each day to do this work, to check in with yourself and do a body scan, can be a really powerful way to build inner peace and trust with yourself and give you a sense of security and loyalty and dedication to yourself, the very things that we sometimes look for outside. So by connecting with our body, by creating a sacred ritual each day where we can honor the truth of what we're feeling, can be a really powerful way to heal this wound and move forward in a healthy way without doing any more damage or destruction to our mind or our body. And so if it feels good, put your right hand on your heart or your left hand on your belly, or you can do both. And I know this may seem kind of weird to give yourself some affection, but if you can just feel the presence of your own felt touch in your hands. It can be a way to remind yourself that you've got yourself, that you acknowledge this wounded part of yourself, and that you're willing to give yourself the very things that we look for outside sometimes. And we can again breathe deeply into the belly, focusing on the crown of the head, any tension or tightness that we're holding in our face, in our cheeks, in our jaw. Sometimes we clench our jaw and we feel that tension. So maybe we can open that jaw and loosen it as we breathe deeply. And maybe you can scan down to the neck and the shoulders and the chest and the arms. And in the chest and the belly, notice any tightness or tension that you're carrying. Maybe it goes lower into the groin area, into the root area, even into your legs and your hips. Maybe it's down even in your toes, feel tingly, or your anxiety is creating a blood flow that just feels anxious. See if you can name it. I'm feeling scared. I'm afraid. See if you can name the feelings in your belly and your chest. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I feel guilt. I feel shame. I feel abandoned. I feel unloved. Whatever it is, see if you can name it and just breathe with it. And give yourself that space to simply feel these feelings. Just become the presence. If you can, imagine yourself floating above your body and looking at yourself, holding space for yourself. And maybe you can imagine some of those feelings in your body, in your chest, in your belly. Maybe as you breathe in, you can breathe in peace. Maybe you can exhale pain. Maybe you can breathe in loving acceptance of this moment. And maybe you can release that tension. Maybe you can breathe in strength and resilience. And exhale confusion and fear. And if we create a sacred space in our day to just check in with this emotional truth, we can focus on becoming that version of ourselves that we needed when we were kids. We can focus on becoming the man who won't abandon ourselves anymore. We can practice forgiveness not for the other person, but so that we can let go and experience the freedom from this distress. And we can seek relationships that honor the truth of who we are. You see, heartbreak doesn't mean that you're unlovable. It just means that you loved so deeply that this wound is so powerful. So when we start to recognize that this pain can be a path to freedom, that heartbreak can be a pathway to growth, that the things that are happening to us are happening for us, we can look at it and say, what kind of lesson is this trying to teach me? I know that's hard to do when it hurts. But if you can see this as a sacred opportunity to learn and grow, if we can see this as a lesson that we need to learn to free ourselves from the bondage of pain from the external, we can see the lesson that we can learn, how we can apply it, and how we can become stronger and resilient in our hearts. So let's see if we can reframe it, come out of that victim mentality a bit. Even though you have been hurt and you've been betrayed, and in some ways you are a victim of that betrayal, there is a process in which we can transmute that betrayal and reframe that victimhood to be empowering, to ask ourselves, what are the lessons that we need to learn? And to continue to become that version of ourselves that we needed when we were younger, when we were vulnerable, when we were abandoned, when we were neglected. And in this way, we heal this core wound at the root level instead of just bypassing it or numbing and distracting in unhealthy ways. Because heartbreak doesn't mean that you're weak. It means that your heart was open. And betrayal doesn't define your worth, because abandonment doesn't make you unlovable. So we can let this pain be a pathway to freedom and not a prison. You are still whole and complete as you are. You are still here, and you are not alone. You can rise from this, my brother, and become stronger. And you will rise from this and become stronger. And if you're struggling with it and you want to consider what it means to work one-on-one, you can book a free discovery call at edwoodstock.com. Or I can also create custom guided meditations specifically for the pain points that you're facing in your life. And feel free to share this message with anybody that you think might benefit from this knowledge. And feel free to come back here and check in and watch it again. And be kind and gentle and loving to yourself. And remember to take care of yourself so that we can take care of each other.